I was so interested in seeing what him and Quinn Ewers do this year. There's been so much hype.
We should have a pretty dangerous running back in Loosemore.
Maryland's got Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
A little too backyard footballish.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Saturday to you. It's your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And I gotta talk about my guest, but before I do, let me that hat, baby. Let's go. You see my guy over here wearing the most hated color in East Lansing right now. Blue, Michigan's own Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. It's a big weekend, especially in that Big Ten. You got this game going on, Ohio State, Penn State. There are huge games across the country, too. We're going to get into some of those SEC ones in a bit. But, yeah, some big-time football games with playoff implications today.
Oh, I cannot wait, man. I am so excited to see these games. There, like you said, there's so many on the docket and so many games that have implications down the line. You know what I mean? Tennessee playing Kentucky. You know, Tennessee loses, all this hype up to this point will be lost. Georgia and the world's largest cocktail party, man. We're going to have our guy, Colin P. from the DMV, talking about the SEC, coming in here to talk with us about some of those SEC matchups. But, yeah, Big Ten, SEC, Tar Heel Nation. You know, we got to keep this thing going. So we have so much for you. What's going on, Nathan? Saying, do you smell it? Nathan, talk to us. What's Maryland going to do, man? No Talia Tagovailoa. Can they sustain that? Let's start there real quick. Can they? What can they do, man? Because without that quarterback, they did not look great, even though they got the win over Indiana.
So, we'll start it off with Indiana's a very tough team to play. They play anybody tough, doesn't matter who it is. They ran Michigan for like 3 quarters and went toe-to-toe with them. So that was an interesting one for me to look at them and see how would they fare without Talia. Yeah. They've got some tests coming up here right away. Like they still got to play Ohio State, I believe. I also believe they still got to play Penn State. So there's some tough matchups ahead, but hopefully they can still hold their own because I still think they're a very good football team.
Absolutely. And Maryland is on a bye until the 5th. Yeah. So hey, get your guys healthy. And look, you talked about it, Nathan. You know, we've talked about they have a solid team, solid defense, great receivers, NFL caliber receivers, and a running back by committee in that backfield led by Roman Hemby. So hey, get back in there and really try to make a run and late in the year. Shout out to the people watching. Good morning, fellas. Go blue, go green, go white, baby. Let's go. Yo, Alex Anthony Handy has a point. Oregon definitely is not making the playoffs.
I disagree on the definitely part. Yeah. So if you look at this, like I'll bring up the rankings here. First of all, I guess there's something to talk about with those rankings. We have a tie in the rankings.
Oh yeah.
So we were looking for our top 10 matchups and saw USC 10, Wake Forest 10, and we were like, "What's going on there?" So, based on that AP poll, every person on that AP poll puts in their rankings, then it's points based off that. So USC and Wake Forest are actually tied for the 10th rank. Nobody's ranked 11. It's 10, 10, 12. Wow. They both have 927 points in those rankings. So that's a little interesting. But back to Oregon, if you look at it, so they're ranked 8th right now.
Yeah.
You still have Michigan and Ohio State have to play each other. Yep. You still have Georgia and Tennessee have to play each other, and then one of those teams has to play Alabama still. Mm-hmm. So that right there is 5 of the 7 teams ahead of them that all have to play each other still.
Yeah.
TCU's probably not going to remain undefeated. So as long as Oregon handles their business the rest of the way, they'll probably walk right in, honestly.
Yeah, and it's doable. I mean, it's definitely doable. You continue with the one loss, you get it to the Pac-12 championship and win that one. I mean, look, you talking about the SEC, they're going to knock each other off. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, these guys, they're going to knock each other off. Yeah. It's going to be Unfortunately, most likely 2 teams from the SEC and then one from probably the Pac-12 and one from the Big Ten because, like you said, TCU.
I don't think we're getting 2 teams this year.
Really?
I think we're going to get, as long as everyone else handles their business here,
yeah,
I think we're going to get the SEC champion,
the
Big Ten champion, Clemson as long as they handle their business the rest of the way.
Very true.
And then Oregon.
Yeah. Woo! Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. There we go. Alex Loosemore's Final Four. Oh my goodness, I am excited to see what happens going forward. Is Georgia still a team to beat? Yes. In my opinion, they are. They're undefeated. They're defending national champions, and they're playing well. We saw what they did a week ago. Today will be a test. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this game. I think it's going to be more of a test for them, but we will see. We will definitely see. But let's go ahead and get into this. Hey, saying I'll be fine with the Pac-12 championship. I understand. Let's go ahead and get into this because yesterday is Saturday, but there were games on Thursday and Friday night. So we're going to give you a quick Thursday night recap. And we got to start in my conference, the ACC. NC State rallies to beat Vatech late. Look, this game was 3-0 at the half. NC State. You know what I mean? For those of you who don't know, NC State's all-world quarterback, Devin Leary, is hurt, was not playing in this game, had the backup Hamilton play for him. Subpar. He looked like a backup coming in. He doesn't really know the offense. He really was having a hard time moving the ball, and it showed early in that game. NC State was getting rocked in the first, third quarter. You got Vatech, 21 points, man. They've been playing terrible all year, man. Does this say anything about Vatech? Let me start there.
To me, this doesn't say anything about Virginia Tech. This is all NC State for me. Because as a top 25 team, and we've talked about Virginia Tech quite a bit this year and them not being a very good team. This shows how much Devin Leary meant to NC State.
Yes.
Because this is back-to-back weeks now where you had a double-digit deficit going into the fourth quarter. And you had to steal it at the end. So, to me, NC State without Devin Leary is not – well, I mean, they're barely a top 25 team as of now, and I don't think they're going to remain a top 25 team. It just sucks to see because with Leary, they were a top 10 football team at one point.
Well, and we all knew, I mean, it was kind of, I don't want to say it was fool's gold that they got ranked so high. I mean, they did have a great season last year, and they were returning a lot of those guys. But like you said, when you have a team where you lose one piece and then all of a sudden they're kind of flatlining almost. Again, they won this game. Just so we know where I stand. Yeah,
I think you guys will smoke them. I don't think it'll be close.
And that's the thing. I just don't think this is the same team without Leary. They barely got through in this game. They still have Thayer at wide receiver, who was their all-world receiver, and his brother at linebacker. So they have pieces. They have those linebackers that are solid and a nice defense. But still, man, I mean, in college football, it's like that sometimes. One guy's gone, that's it. So we'll see how they go from here on out. But, it's not looking good. We talked about Virginia Tech. Brent Pry, coach, first-year guy. He's on a 5-game losing streak. So, look, I know it takes a couple years sometimes to get these guys in there. But, I'm used to Beamer ball. I'm used to those guys way back when. And now these last couple years have been rough for them. So, personally, being a Virginia guy, I was never a Virginia Tech fan, so I'm all like, okay. But as far as them, man, hopefully they can get this thing together because it's a lot better when they're competitive.
Yes, absolutely.
So, let's move on real quick. Southern Miss moves to 5-3 after beating University of Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, 39-24. And I'm gonna start on the losing end of this. UL. Raging Cajuns. I talked about them last year. You know what I mean? Having a solid season the last couple years under Coach Billy Napier. We know he's actually playing in the world or coaching the world's largest cocktail party today for Florida. This team is very different without him. I mean, they've been struggling under Michael Desmore as their first year head coach. What do you think about this, man?
I mean, it's tough to look at them this year based on, like you said, how Napier had them.
Yeah.
It shows how good of a coach Napier is.
Right.
To have a school like Louisiana, who for so long had struggled and made them relevant.
Yeah.
So I think everyone kind of was just like used to it at this point, and then they kind of fall back off, which I mean, first-year head coach is a little understandable. But I mean, Southern Mississippi is an okay team. Like, I mean, you look at the numbers for them, their quarterback was 8 of 17, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception.
Yeah.
Frank Gore Jr. is the running back, 23 carries, 87 yards.
Right.
Like, the numbers don't wow you. Like,
right.
It was for 39-24. It's a tough one, and that would have been a tough one to watch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is one of those other games that maybe you're like, oh, nothing else is on. Let me go ahead and check this out. But it is upsetting to see UL now down to 4-4, 2 games out of a potential bowl after they've done so well in the last couple years. And Southern Miss, they got it done. This thing was over at the half. It was 29-11. And the second half, it really wasn't much. But like you said, it really wasn't this offensive explosion. It was just a balanced attack against a team in UL that is just struggling. They're struggling. So we'll see how that goes down the line. Let's go ahead and move on to a Pac-12 matchup. Utah, number 14. Utah holds off Washington State 21-17. And I think the bigger story of this, Cam Rising out this game. Bryson Barnes had to come in there and take it away. It was bigger margin early. Washington State came back a little bit late. Does this say, should we be worried about Utah? Another one of those situations where star players out, or one of the stars are out. Should we be worried?
I don't think so, because it doesn't sound like Rising's going to be out very long. Like, they asked Whittingham about it after the game, the head coach, and his quote is he just didn't feel like he was right. It was Cam's decision. If Cam says he can't play, he can't play. So there was no doubting him whatsoever.
Ooh, okay.
So it was Cam's decision to sit out the game. And I think what it was is Cam's realizing there's bigger games ahead. Yes. They still got to play Oregon probably twice, obviously, with the Pac-12 championship. I believe they still have to play Washington, if I'm not mistaken. So there's bigger games ahead. Yeah. So take this week to get yourself right. Trust that your backup can steal you the win at this point and come back in and be ready to go next week.
Oh, yeah. They have a Stanford team that's 3-4. And then, like you said, Oregon. And then they have Colorado. So
Colorado,
they might get a breeze at the end. But, yeah, definitely Stanford team is – we'll discuss them a little bit later. They're not – their schedule's not indicative of how they actually can play. And we already know what Oregon can do. So, it's definitely going to be interesting in this one. Washington State, one of the teams I was kind of excited about towards the beginning of the year, 4-4. They're doing what they can. Ward, there's times where Ward looks great. He had over 200 in the air. He had 28 in that one touchdown where he called his own number that actually kind of brought them back in the game.
Yeah.
But still, nothing's different. It's 4-4. It's, a couple games out of a bowl. I mean, was I too excited about these guys earlier in the year, man?
I don't think so, because I was the same way. Like, Washington State's always one of those teams where they're so fun to watch. Mm-hmm. But you think their record's going to be better. Now, I mean, I still fully expect them to get into a bowl game and still, 4-4, you still got lots of time. You got a month left to get your bowl game. I feel like they'll lock it up. But, yeah, they're a very fun team to watch week in and week out. So,
absolutely. And they got Stanford, Arizona State, Arizona, and Washington. So they can get 3 of those, because I don't think they're going to get the Washington one. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, college football is any given Saturday, so
that's why we love it.
Yeah,
that is why we love it. Yo, let's move on to the Friday night games. There was only 2 games on last night, and ECU was one of those. Eastern Carolina wins in a close one on a last-second field goal to beat BYU 27-24. Eastern Carolina is a team, we talked about them in the first week against the aforementioned North Carolina State. We thought they were going to get that upset and get the win. They came a couple missed field goal and a missed extra point away from actually getting that W. It's great now that they win on the game winner expiration as it expires. They're 6-3. They're bowl eligible. This is a good story. I like what they're doing. They have wins over now BYU, Memphis. Who else they beat? ODU. All these are teams that might not be great on like the top 25 spectrum, but definitely are solid in conference play. So what do you think of ECU and that W?
Oh, I love it. I love any time that these smaller conference schools come in and have these good records and get bowl eligible and can get themselves on television more. That's the big thing for me. Get these guys exposure because there's still tons of very good players at these schools.
Yep.
And when you're playing in NC State, when you play BYU, there's a good chance you're going to get on TV. Yep. So for me, that's everything is let's try and get as many of these guys exposure as possible. And especially when they go in and just about steal the game from NC State week 1 and come in and beat BYU in their stadium. Like, these are quality games, whether they're wins or losses. And it shows you that, hey, some of these smaller schools can hang with these big schools.
Right. And look, you already know the recipe for success, especially when these close games, is running the ball. Keaton Mitchell had 21 carries for over 170 yards and a touchdown in this game. And we all know what Holden Ahlers can do, the quarterback, but I feel like this was better for him because he does sometimes have a propensity to throw it to the other team if the game gets too high scoring. So keeping this where he's a game manager, Mitchell let him grind out, run the ball, and play solid defense. They were able to beat a very good BYU team. And I got to come to you for this one. One of our buddies, and remember Gator Nation, Andrew O'Bear, shout out to that guy, North Sports Dynasty. He's been telling us Jaron Hall all year, one of the top QBs that can go in this draft. At least by wins, it hasn't been as great. Is this indicative of the team or him? Should we be worried about him?
I mean, if you look at the games that he's in, he's putting good numbers up.
True.
So I think it's more so the team. But I mean, you look at their schedule, they had Baylor, Oregon, Notre Dame, Arkansas. Like, they played some damn good teams.
Very true.
And I mean, they lost to Arkansas, lost to Notre Dame, which Notre Dame was at home. Like, they went to Notre Dame. So, I mean, a little understandable. Went to Oregon. They beat Baylor in overtime. But a lot of these games, it's like, okay, they play the tough team, and then they kind of have a close one against a Wyoming or a Utah State. Then they come in and play Notre Dame and Arkansas, and then they lose to Liberty. Like, there's a lot of that, like, back and forth. It's almost like you've got two different teams. They're playing to the level of their opponents, if that makes sense.
Right. And that makes a big difference. That definitely makes a big difference, playing that tougher talent. But this is where I will make the argument for him. The guy is still dominating. He's 11th in passing overall. He has 2,245 yards, 21 touchdowns, and I think the best stat, 3 interceptions. Okay? Yeah. This guy is playing ball against top talent. We've seen the quarterbacks that have come out of BYU, most recently Zach Wilson. He's a junior this year. Would you advise him? If you're his guidance counselor, coach, whatever, would you advise him to go this year? Or would you say stay one more year and see if you can build on that draft stock?
Me personally, I would stay one more year just because this is a loaded quarterback class coming up.
Yes.
And then the next one doesn't seem to be as strong. But, I mean, with the numbers he's putting up, I don't necessarily think he can go wrong either way. Because anytime you have a 7-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, that's pretty ridiculous. Like, that's a good season.
Oh, yeah. And look, he has definitely winnable games in actually a 5-2 Boise State game. That's gonna be interesting. Utah Tech is 1-6. They could beat them. Stanford, we've talked about them. There are games that they can win going down the stretch to pull this season out and get them into a bowl. But as for him, and right on time, man. What's going on, Andrew? So, Andrew, if you're in the comments, I'll pose a question that I just asked Alex. Your guy, Jaron Hall, over 2,200 passing yards, over 20 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He is a junior. would you advise him as his coach or guidance counselor or whatever to forego his senior year and go pro? Or would you say, hey, get one more year under your belt, get some work, so you'll move your draft stock up? Hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think. So yeah, it's a good win for ECU. And I think in the long run, this doesn't look as bad for BYU because ECU is not a slouch. They're not a terrible team. They've had great years. And as you see this year, they're playing pretty solid. So, shout out to them getting the W, man. And on a game that I'm almost guaranteeing even the most staunch college football fans might not have watched.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about us two. Because I look, this was FIU. Shout out to them getting a victory in double overtime against Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech ain't great. FIU is actually having a better season at I believe 4-4 now. It's making it, but L Tech is 2-6. But you get the W. That always helps you. Do you have anything on this game?
I mean, obviously the double overtime, it probably was an interesting game to watch, but like you said, I don't think really anyone was watching it. I don't really got much on this one, to be quite honest.
No. Hey, shout out to James, their quarterback. Over 30 completions, 300 yards, and 3 TDs in this game. Now, obviously, that was stretched out through the 2 overtimes. But at the end of the game, in overtime, they won it on the back of Lexington Joseph. He had only 37 carries, but he had 2 crucial overtime touchdowns that ended up being one of them being the difference in this ball game. Yeah. Shout out to FIU. They've had a rougher year, but getting this win, a get-right win, was definitely good for them. Andrew commented, he said, one more year, draft stock might go up and push Caleb Williams for number 1 next year if he plays good. Okay, I like that. Yeah.
And you look at it for quarterbacks next year, you've got Caleb Williams is kind of the clear number 1 right now. To me, Anthony Richardson's probably going to stay back for Florida.
Yep.
So he's another guy. Maybe JJ McCarthy out of Michigan.
True.
He'll be a junior next year, so next year might be his last year. But other than that, there's not much. Where this year you have Stroud, Levis, Young, Sam Hartman. Like it just the list goes and goes and goes, right? So if I'm him, I stay back.
Yeah, because honestly, Hall, if you get in there this year, I mean, you're moving down to 4th, 5th round easily, and at that point, with the top heavy QB draft, who knows where you're going to end up? And you're going to end up somewhere buried on somebody's depth chart or in a practice squad. And I think there's too much talent that Jaron Hall has to put him on there. At worst, they might even try to switch him to like another position because he's so athletic. So let's hope he stays put as is. But ladies and gentlemen, that was our Friday Night Lights. And those were our early games this week. That was kind of the appetizer to get us ready for today's game. Again, I am your boy, Sean Spencer. This guy over here, Mr. Michigan, Alex Loosemore. And this is Let's Talk College Football. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a quick little breather just to make sure you're still good and everything. Want to shout out one of our buddies in the Let's Talk Football community. A guy who just celebrated his birthday on Tuesday, Sydney Swinton. He does a little thing, man. It's a card thing, man. He's got pull boxes. He's got signed cards, jersey patches, the whole 9. Check him out. Good stuff. And check out Let's Talk Fantasy Football on Tuesday nights. Him, his beautiful wife Ash Swinton, and their buddy and my guy, Mr. David Wright. Squid Rips Cards. We'll be right back. Yeah, buddy. Yo, so definitely check out my guy, Sydney Swinton, Squid Rips Cards, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, the whole 9. get at him. He's got some good stuff he's giving you. Got me a little Jamin Davis rookie over here. A little Jarrett Patterson. And then my personal favorite, Scary Terry, baby. Yeah. So definitely check him out. I know my buddy froze because he's getting excited, ladies and gentlemen. Why is he getting excited? Well, it's football Saturday, absolutely. But also, we have another segment coming up, and it's called Loosemore's Lineman. I can't wait to see what he has on the docket. My guy.
Every time.
We got to time it up with the video. We got to time it up with Yo, my guy right here. If you don't know, this guy was an all-pro, all-state, all-world O-lineman. If I would have had 5 of this guy on my line, I never would have got touched. My guy over here, Alex Loosemore, and he's bringing us his segment, ladies and gentlemen. What segment is that, you ask? Loosemore's Yeah, buddy. Alex, take it away.
All right, so I stayed in-house today with the in-state rivalry today. I went Olu Oluwatimi, the full name Oluzigun. I hope I said that right. Center for Michigan, transferred from Virginia. Was a 2-star recruit out of high school. Was in the running for the Lineman of the Year last year. Obviously, went to Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa, but he was second or third in that, so he was one of the finalists there. He's got a brother. Holy, these names are a mouthful. It's Oluwasian is the defensive lineman at Maryland. So I just found that out last night. So that was kind of interesting to me. He's right now he's kind of like a 3rd or 4th round prospect. Just interior offensive linemen tend to go a bit later. It just kind of got another scouting report, strengths and weaknesses here. So strengths for me, he shows impressive range and ability to get out and land blocks on the move, whether it's kind of like an outside zone, going out to the linebacker, sliding over to get that tackle if it's a wide tackle, or very good movement, especially from the center position. As a pass protector, he plays with good balance and holds up against the bull rush quite well. He's got strong hands and does a nice job gripping and latching on once he has his hands on the pass rusher. He has the agility, technique, and size to contribute early in that professional career once he gets there. Quick, active hands, latches on. Thank you for tuning in, Jason. Very smart, almost, I guess the word for it would be cerebral. He's quick to react with twists and stunts up front, which is a very tough thing for linemen to do, even at the college level. Shows an excellent understanding of angles when he's moving out on those, like I said, those outside zones and those stretch plays as a run blocker. Does a very good job of that. Uses his hands well, that good punch, good hand placement. Another thing that not a lot of linemen at this level show, he's got very good coordination between his upper and lower body, specifically in pass protection. So you'll find a lot of guys, either their hands aren't moving with their feet or vice versa. He does a very good job of having both in line, where his feet are always moving and his hands are ready for that punch. Very, very impressive in pass protection. He has a ton of experience. In the 3 seasons he was at Virginia, he played 2,552 snaps. So very, very experienced in college football. Plays with a good base. Again, good balance. Love his act as what's called a bumper. So specifically as a center in pass protection, more against a 4-3 defense, your guards and tackles are taking the tackles and ends on the defensive line. And your center is what's called the bumper. They're kind of looking for work, seeing, okay, is one of these tackles going to come in? And then when they slide in, that's where you see the center come in and clock the guy. So that's what's called a bumper. He does a very good job of that. If he doesn't have a guy on him, he's always looking for somebody to hit, which I absolutely love. Very good, kind of like Skoronski a couple weeks ago. Very good at getting up to the linebackers, that second level, and getting his hands on guys. Now for some weaknesses. While he has a good punch, he's often over eager to throw his punch. So a punch for an offensive lineman is a lot about timing. So it's waiting for the guy to get close and then you lock out on him. He tends to kind of lunge forward with his punch, throwing it too early, which does put him prone to being off balance. Struggles against counter moves with that same instant. When you throw that punch too early and you kind of get leaning, it makes it easy for a guy to kind of rip into a swim or like do a second move off that. So he does struggle against that from time to time. If there's like a lateral move, so like he starts kind of kicking to his left and then the guy comes back right, he doesn't always do the best with that. Again, I'm being very picky with his weaknesses here because he's a very good offensive lineman. He's got a very solid frame. Like he's just a solid dude, big guy. But he doesn't get as much drive as I would like on those interior defensive linemen, especially some of the ones we've played this year. Did a good job against PJ Mustipher in that Penn State game. So hopefully he's kind of turning that around. Like I said, he gets caught leaning. And yeah, that's all I really got on him. He's a solid offensive lineman, one of the best interior linemen in the nation. Will be a solid pro. He'll be one of those third, fourth, fifth round linemen that eventually gets to start and kind of keeps that job.
Oh yeah, buddy. I can dig it, man. Yes. I'm excited to see what he has today. Unfortunately, I think he's going to have his hands full.
I don't think so.
Wow. That was for you, Kat. If you see this later, that was for you.
I'm sorry, Kat. It's nothing against you, but
wow. Absolutely. Yo. Hey, look, I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate that, Alex. And if you don't know, that's Loosemore. Yeah, buddy. And that was, you heard it. You already heard the name. I'm not going to try to say the name myself. I'm not going to butcher it.
Olu Atimi.
There you go. Oh, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yo. So, hey, we are going to move on. Like we started off with, today is Saturday, and there are so many games on the docket and so many games that have bowl implications, CFP implications, and division implications. And I mean, we're gonna focus on the top 25 today. There's a lot of other games, obviously, we can focus on, but there's a lot happening in the top 25 where one or two or even three teams lose, and all of a sudden the whole top 25 needs to be redone. So we're gonna see, and we already know who's number one. But before that, there's a number of games that come on in the SEC, and on Monday and sometimes Thursday, you got two of the best hosts this side of Athens, Georgia. You know about Mr. Fingers, Anthony Club Say Handy. But he has a partner, man. That is down south, little Creole, a real accent, not that Brian Kelly stuff. A real accent. My guy, Colin P. What up, Colin?
Hey, what's happening, guy? A little Creole, huh?
Come on now. Let's get it.
What's going on, fellas?
Not too much, man. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Getting ready for this, kind of getting geared up for this game at 3:30, man. I'm getting a little bit nervous. I don't know why, but I'm getting a little nervous. It is SEC, man. It's Florida. They can jump out at any time. Anytime.
Absolutely. Hey, you let us right into it. I love the gear. I love the attire. Let's talk about it. Number one, Georgia playing Florida, the world's largest cocktail party. I mean, look, I've heard people say as much as, 21-point blowouts, and this isn't going to be a game. Talk to me about this one, man. Does Florida stand a chance, or, I mean, what should we expect?
Well, I mean, I kind of was nervous about it, but after yesterday, Vince Dooley died, so I think that's going to light a fire in our guys. I think they're going to win this one for him. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a 23-point blowout. I mean, I don't know if the line holds true, but, I hope so. But, I mean, I'm looking for a good game today. It's always a battle between Florida and Georgia. And, the crowd is just crazy. Like I was telling on my show on Monday, if you go into the stadium, it's split 50-50, Florida and Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, it is just insane. It's an all-tell stadium and every seat is filled. I mean, it's an NFL stadium, so every seat is filled. So it is quite the experience. But I'm ready to go, man. I think the Dogs will be ready to go too. They've been continually getting better last couple of games. Kind of fixing some of their mistakes and stuff. And if Stetson can hold true and hit his targets, and we can run the ball. That's what we do is run the ball. We just run the rock and keep doing it. Whatever works, don't deviate from it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you a question on defense. Jalen Carter, he was the heir apparent to Big Baby, and he's been hurt a lot this year. He only has 4 tackles. Yeah. Will he play today? And if he does, will he make an impact?
I don't think he's going to play today. I mean, from everything I've read, I don't think he's going to. They're not going to try him just to make sure he does not get hurt any worse. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I need to check the news. I haven't heard of him playing or not, but I'm ready for him to play, man. Because he's the guy. He's our the Kobe Dean. I mean, I'm waiting on him to get back in there, and he definitely, when he's in, he definitely makes an impact.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And look, Alex, I'm going to come to you. Hey, they're number 1. Georgia's number 1. Florida unranked. We know about their first year coach and Billy Napier. But this is a SEC matchup. This is the world's largest cocktail party. This is the rivalry. So talk to me. Are you and I have both said that we don't think this is going to be as big of a blowout as everybody's saying. What are you expecting from this?
I'm expecting a kind of a back and forth game early because it's that high intensity neutral site game, the big time rivalry. I expect kind of back and forth for 2.5 quarters ish, and then Georgia to pull away and win by like 2 touchdowns late.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's just everybody needs to settle down. There's a lot of adrenaline. Yeah. Once you get going there, and once both teams settle down, we'll see what actually happens. I mean, exactly. It might be tough there the first couple, maybe a quarter or two, like you said.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, in my opinion, Anthony Richardson for Florida. Yeah. He has to have the best game of his life. He has to, not only throw for multiple 100 yards, but he also needs to run for over 100, if not over 150 yards, and really kind of put that Georgia defense on notice. I think if Jalen Carter is not playing, that could hurt. But I still think Georgia just has too much of a powerful team. Now, and we're going to move on real quick because the only thing that I really think could hurt Georgia is looking to that next game that they have to play.
Yeah.
And they play today. Number 3, Tennessee plays number 19, Kentucky. And we've talked about this, Colin. You and I have gone back and forth kind of on this. Tennessee, that's got a lot of momentum. They're undefeated at number 3. Kentucky's no slouch, though. They've had injuries. Rodriguez didn't play the first 4 games of the year. What are you expecting in this one right here?
I expect a shootout, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be, with both quarterbacks for Tennessee and Kentucky, I mean, I think they're going to just be firing the ball down the field. That's what I'm looking for today. It's basically going to – I don't know if Tennessee's going to pull away from them. I don't think this is going to be a large margin of victory for either one of them. I think it's going to be a tight game the whole game, and maybe just as simple as who has the ball last. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them both play, both quarterbacks, and then to see if Hyatt can get 5 catches for 6 catches for 5 touchdowns. I couldn't believe that. I was like, how in the world can you have 6 catches and 5 of them be for touchdowns?
Well, he leads the country in receiving touchdowns, and half of them came in that game.
Yeah, no doubt. He had 250 yards or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Insane.
Right now, he has 12 touchdown receptions.
Yeah, but Sean, to your point, though, when we play Tennessee, we're going to have to make sure our secondary is, well aware of that. I don't understand how he got behind those DBs for Alabama and how he, got yards after catch. I mean, like as soon as he caught the ball, he was gone. You know what I mean? It was just no catching him. So we've got to definitely pay attention to that. But not looking quite ahead of Tennessee yet. We got to take care of Florida first.
Well, if you're Tennessee, you got to make sure you're not looking past Kentucky and looking to Georgia.
Right.
Both you got to make sure you take care of business today.
That's exactly right. Absolutely right. Yep.
And look, in the spirit of that same comment, I think both teams need to. You talk about Kentucky. Kentucky's not dead here, ladies and gentlemen. They're 5-2. We've known they've struggled, and they lose to Ole Miss. They lose to who they else lose to? They lose to LSU? No. Who else do they lose to this year? Let me check it. Ole Miss, South Carolina.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. So, it's a team it's on the come up. They won the last 4 games, but Kentucky is no slouch. We know about Will Levis. Rodriguez is back at running back. These last couple weeks are going to be huge. Tennessee
absolutely.
playing Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. This is going to be interesting. What do you guys? I'm going to come to you about Georgia and Tennessee. Number one with Georgia. What do you think's happening? Not all the way to CFP, but just for the remaining games this year.
Well, for Georgia, for the remaining games we have on the schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can't look past any of them. I mean, honestly, you just made that point. I mean, we got Florida, then Tennessee, then Mississippi State. Even, we can't even look past Mississippi State. We've got to pay attention to these last 3 games, and they're all in the SEC, so they're very important wins for us. And like you said, though, I mean, anything can happen. With these last 3 or 4 weeks, or whoever the other teams have to play. And it's kind of odd to me that the SEC East now is actually. The side of the conference is actually doing better than the West. So, usually we're the stepchild. So usually we're pretty bad. But, so, I mean, it definitely, it's SEC. I mean, like you could look, even if Vanderbilt was in the equation, you couldn't look past them. You couldn't look at, you can't look past a quote unquote or a perceived subpar team in the SEC because they'll jump out and bite you. So,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll see. And like you said, Tennessee, they have Kentucky today. They play a Missouri with a very strong defense that, they gave you guys a little bit.
We know that.
South Carolina, like I said, is on a 4-game win streak, and they play aforementioned Missouri today. And then Tennessee ends with Vanderbilt. So look, none of these teams has a cakewalk towards the end of the year. The meat of the schedule is happening right now, and I'm excited to see what comes out.
So I got a question for you guys. Do you think Alabama has another loss? Do you think they'll get another loss?
If we're counting the conference championship, I have one more loss.
The conference championship? Okay. They've
got. I think either you or Tennessee in the conference championship, I think, beat them.
Yeah. I have to say I agree with that. We've talked about Bryce Young all year. Yes, he's great. Yes, he can do it, but the thing about it is, I don't know that he has that much help. Jahir Gibbs, solid. McClendon can run. But what big name receivers do they have? We've seen about the guy that left you guys, went over there and got in trouble with all that nonsense.
Yeah.
So, Saban has been, Saban's always getting animated and yelling on the sidelines, but this year he's been rough. He's been real, ticked off. And I'm wondering if that rears ugly head again, one of these big name matchups, because they were in it with Tennessee. They still put up 49 and had an opportunity to win it late in the game, but could not get it done. I wonder if that is going to affect them down the line.
I mean, look at all the penalties they had. I mean, they're still in the game with 17, penalties. That says something. Right. But I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of up in the air with LSU. I don't know what kind of game they're going to have against them.
That's an interesting one.
Yes,
that might be the second loss that, if there is one, that I could possibly see. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that could be the only one. I mean, they've got Ole Miss and Auburn and Austin Peay. Ole Miss, Austin Peay, and Auburn, the Iron Bowl. But I don't see them having too much trouble with Auburn. So,
no,
I don't either. Yeah, buddy. So look, hey, we're going to bring you in a little bit. We're going to talk about a couple of the other games, and then we're going to bring you in on some more SEC action. We appreciate you. Stick with us in the background, and I'll bring you in a little bit. All right?
Yes, sir.
My man. Yeah, buddy. So, let's move in. Let's move in to, your conference, the Big Ten, and probably one of the best matchups. You know what? Just for this matchup, I think we need to let the battle lines be drawn.
All right.
Yeah, buddy. Michigan plays Michigan State, and go green, go white, baby. No, what are you expecting in this one? Please don't tell me a blowout, because I still have to talk to Kat today.
Sorry, but
yeah, here it goes.
That's about where I'm going. I wish it was going to be set up for a better game. I really do, because I love like last year's matchup. I loved it, even though we lost. I absolutely loved it. I love those close rivalry games, the back and forth, where it's so fun to watch for the full 60 minutes.
Yep.
It's just Michigan State hasn't been able to really get anything going this year. No. So the spread's at like 22. I expect it to be right around there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
This is going to be rough. We already know what Blake Corum is doing. We know how he's been dominating on the ground. But the biggest issue for Michigan State has been that pass defense. I mean, honestly, that pass defense has been giving up major yards. We gave up 283 a week ago to Wisconsin. You and I talked about how Mertz ain't a solid quarterback, and they took us to OT. So it's going to be rough. We know what Ohio State did, putting up over 300 on us. We know Washington almost put 400 passing yards on us. If JJ McCarthy gets the pass, and this game might be over quickly. I will say this, being at Michigan State, being at that game against the Wisconsin team that we probably should have beat handily, they're struggling, and they played up for that game. Honestly, the play calling is going to be suspect. If we can keep y'all off the field, that's great. If the game goes into Peyton Thorne's hands, it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Point blank.
Exactly.
You know. So what are your we know your predictions. What is going to be the score?
Oh, I'll go around. I'll say 35-10.
Oof. Jeez Louise. Yeah. I appreciate you giving us 10 points, because I don't even see that. I got to go like 38-7.
Fair.
And I will definitely cut this part out. So when I show Kat, she won't see that. But yeah, it's going to be rough, man. That defense is normally what Michigan State lives off of, and they have been kind of subpar. The offense really isn't getting it done. Reed is their only big name wide receiver, him and Coleman, but yeah, I don't think this is going to be pretty. So I definitely think Michigan moves on, and hey, rightfully so, after getting that victory over Penn State. And now Penn State has to play Ohio State. We know CJ Stroud. We know how dominant he is. I think he only has 3 interceptions this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, over 2,000 yards in the air. He's an amazing quarterback. We know how that offense is going, the two-headed monster running back. What are you thinking about this game?
I think this one's going to be more interesting than people are giving credit for.
Yeah.
Because it's in Happy Valley. That's the difference maker for me. Mm-hmm. I still think Ohio State's going to win. They're not covering the spread of 15.5, though.
Yeah.
I've got Ohio State by, I guess it depends what kind of game they play. Because I think if you're Ohio State, you look at how we played them, and you look at how Minnesota played them. And that was 2 games where a ton of rushing yards were given up. So I think this is a game where it doesn't go into CJ Stroud's hands too much. I think you Travian Henderson and Williams, the second running back, and you try and impose your will like the last 2 teams have, because they've been successful with it. Minnesota did it in Happy Valley in the Whiteout game.
Yeah.
So I'll say Ohio State by 2 touchdowns, just under that spread.
Yeah.
But I don't think Penn State's going to get embarrassed a 3rd week in a row with how bad their run defense has been, especially with it being so good all year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say Ohio State by 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And Johnny, no, this isn't a whiteout game because they're the big noon kickoff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're the early one. Yeah. No, look, I agree with you. I just think that offense is just too potent, and I think that defense is something that maybe people are sleeping on for Ohio State, but that defense can definitely shut squads down. So 6-1 Penn State. I'm glad they're doing well. And if they get that running game going by Nate Singleton, maybe, hey, we'll see. We'll see if they can keep CJ Stroud and that offense off the field. But I think anything short of maybe like bad weather, you know what I mean? Maybe some rain or snow or something, like anything short of that. I just don't think Ohio State's going to have that much trouble. I do think this might be a little closer early, but I think Ohio State will pull away later in this.
Well, if you look at Ohio State's 2 losses last year and any game they've been close in fairly recently, the way to do that to Ohio State is be physical with them. Run the ball, punch them in the mouth, and make it a physical football game. Yes. And Penn State has the ability to do that. They have a good offensive line. They've got 2 good freshman running backs. So this is another one where we say if Sean Clifford has to throw the ball a lot, they are not a good football team.
There it is. Absolutely.
Give it to the running backs, punch Ohio State in the mouth, and get that stadium rolling. Because if you can get that environment going, be physical, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, no bad weather here. Yep. And it's the day game. So it's going to be quite interesting, man. We'll see. I honestly, hey, Notre Dame held them to 21 points. Obviously, it's the first game of the year. Play good defense, run the ball, don't make mistakes, create turnovers. Those are going to be the things that Penn State's going to need to do. And hopefully for James Franklin, they do. They're already bowl eligible, but they still have that thing hanging over their head that they can't really get over Ohio State. They can't really get over Michigan. They're always going to be third, behind those 2 teams. And hey, you win this game, that's how you start to erase that narrative. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and then it makes the Big Ten East very interesting because Michigan has the win over Penn State. Penn State has the win over Ohio State. And then you have that Michigan-Ohio State matchup to end the regular season.
Right.
So if Ohio State goes and beats Michigan, then it makes a very interesting case for who's going to win the Big Ten East.
Right.
Who's going to that conference championship game with a shot at the playoff? Like it makes for an interesting argument.
Oh, I'm excited to see what happens on that one. I'm excited to see what happens. Yo, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go dive into the Big 12 a little bit. Undefeated, 7th ranked TCU playing West Virginia. And shout out to Alec Schomburg, who was in here earlier talking about
He had a lot to say about TCU.
Yeah, he was going in on TCU a little bit earlier. Yeah, just saying every team TCU beat. It's weird how the starting quarterback got hurt. Interesting.
That's something to look at.
Kansas, right? TCU got lucky. Their opponent's creepy just happened to get hurt. Yeah, you're right, and it's interesting. It's very interesting, but still, you got to get the job done. You got to win it. We've seen what TCU's quarterback can do. West Virginia's no sleeper. They got stomped by a solid Texas team when Quinn Ewers came back, but then we're able to pull out the victory against Oregon a week ago. Was it Oregon or Baylor? I think it was Baylor, actually.
Baylor,
yes. What are you expecting? Does TCU stay undefeated?
This week, yes. I mean, you can see as an undefeated team, TCU's not getting that much respect. The spread's only 7.5. Yeah. It is in West Virginia, so that's something to look at there. But to me, I think they escape this week, and then you look down the line for them. Texas Tech, I think they win. But then they've got Texas and Baylor back-to-back weeks. I think they lose one of those 2. Probably the Texas game because they're in Austin. So I think they'll take that one. But they definitely survive this week for me.
Yeah. I honestly, West Virginia's too up and down for me. Yeah. If West Virginia could control the clock, run the ball, and create some turnovers, maybe. But the way that Max Duggan is playing, I mean, you got a lot of years he's been slept on, and maybe he hasn't played this efficient. But when you have 19 touchdowns and only 1 interception, you know what I mean? Just 130 yards under 2,000 yards this early in the year. You have a solid running game. Your running back has over 700 on the ground. When you are moving the ball and when you have that competitive nature that we know Max Duggan has, I mean, look, you're playing great right now. And as long as you keep building that momentum, that's solid. I think they need to play a clean game because West Virginia is one of those teams that can come up and give you a quick little, a little sucker punch. And all of a sudden they're in this ball game. So TCU is going to need a clean game And just like we said about Georgia, we need to make sure, and Tennessee, we got to make sure they're not looking ahead, TCU, to Texas and the Baylor down the line and overlooking a West Virginia.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited. Wow. Did
Okay,
they hurt you?
Here's the thing, Alec. You can only play what's in front of you.
Very true.
So you can only play the team that's on the field across from you. So a fake undefeated, I don't know that I can say that because they've won 7 games. They've won in every situation. They've won in overtime. They've won on the road. They've won at home. They like top 25, unranked. Like it's tough to say a fake undefeated because there's the saying any given Saturday for a reason.
Very true. Very true. Now, look, to that party in Morgantown, look, I wish that they had fun down there. Let me tell you something. A coincidence their quarterbacks got hurt. Well, but then you got to look at Kansas State. They beat Kansas State by 10, and they had Adrian Martinez, who has been playing solid all year. You got Oklahoma State with Spencer Sanders, to, like Alex said, 1, you beat them in 2 overtimes. I get the Kansas situation, and even with the Kansas situation, yes, they got lucky, but I feel like, they're kind of they're putting themselves out there. West Virginia is going to be a tough test. Texas Tech after that will be a tough test.
Yeah.
So if they can get through these games and then obviously finish with Baylor and Texas and go 4-0 in this, hey, it's hard for me to say this, but I don't even know if I'll then believe in them. I love what they got going on.
Yeah.
But it's the Big 12, and we know what the Big 12 is. So it's going to be interesting. Kansas State. Adrian Martinez ain't bad. Let's go.
Yeah. He beat Oklahoma.
Right. Hey, and let's go into stay in the Big 12. Oklahoma State playing Kansas State. In this one. Hey, what are you thinking? Because I'm loving Kansas State. Deuce Vaughn is my guy. But after they took that loss, I don't know what to expect anymore, man. What do you think?
This is a tough one because, you look at the line, they're giving Kansas State a 1.5. Kansas State's favored at home. I'm still leaning Oklahoma State slightly. But this is going to be a very good football game. To me, this could go either way. And to me, I just like the high power offense that Oklahoma State brings into this matchup. Oh, yeah. And neither team can really play defense. So give me the better offense in this one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Look, Martinez is playing well. He's playing well. No interceptions this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been leading that team. And a lot of people have been sleeping on what Kansas State provides. We know Deuce Vaughn, like we talked about, over 700 yards on the ground. This offense is legit. And then you're going up against Spencer Sanders, who we knew about what he did against Central Michigan in that first game. We know how he's done thus far this year. This is going to be a high scoring game. This is going to be a pretty solid one, man. I honestly, I got Kansas State taking this one. You know what I mean? Because I think Kansas State, they have the momentum. Look, they're 5-2. We know Oklahoma State is 6-1, but I think this is one of those games that upstart Kansas State kind of frustrates Spencer Sanders. So
you gotta have a big day out of Deuce Vaughn. That's all. Yeah. Like he's got to have a massive game today. Run the ball lots. Him and Adrian Martinez both, because Martinez can run the ball like crazy too.
Exactly.
So pound the rock, control the game, and try and steal it late.
Right. And then to your point, Kansas State's running for over 230 yards a game. And Oklahoma State's giving up 150, but this ain't that Oklahoma State defense from a year ago. We talked about it. How they were one of the top, number one defenses a year ago, outside of maybe a Georgia and a Bama and those guys. This ain't that same team. They got a lot of guys that went into the draft and are actually playing pretty solid for their teams respectively. So this is a different defense. So we're definitely going to see what happens today, but that will definitely be huge. Alec, I know you're here, and that's why I put this one in here. Oregon at number 8 versus Cal. I don't expect much of a game in this one, especially with what Oregon did to UCLA a week ago. What do you think? You think we're getting any surprises today?
I think it's a very close game, actually. If you look at the past 5 years, whether Oregon's been very good or very bad, they play Cal close every year. I think Oregon still wins. Yeah. And I think Oregon wins by I'll give them 10 points. But I I figure.
Wow.
He's not a fan of the jerseys and that kind of stuff.
You're right.
I think Oregon, they'll walk out of there with like a 10-point win, but this is one to keep an eye on. I think possible upset.
Oh yeah. It's be interesting. And to that point about the jerseys, Alec, I got to ask you this, man. I'm okay with green, lime green, yellow. I could do that. But what the heck was that black, pink, and whatever? Like, what are y'all doing out there, man? I guess it helped you get the W, but whatever, man.
That was a good game last week.
It was, man. And I mean, it's interesting because, I wonder what that says about UCLA. They were undefeated before. And now they took the L. Look, the Pac-12, I know it's getting slept on because USC hasn't been great for a while. UCLA has kind of been down. Now those two teams are playing solid. We talked about Utah.
Very good teams.
Right. Oregon is doing it. So any one of these teams, I think, could contend outside of the conference. I just think that over the last couple of years since they've been struggling, a lot of people have kind of maybe pushed them to the wayside. And maybe because some of those teams are, potentially going to the Big Ten and moving elsewhere, they're like, oh, they're not really viable. Watch out for the Pac-12, man, because we know what Utah did in that game, in the bowl game a year ago against Ohio State. They gave them everything they could handle. So
went toe to toe with them, and
exactly.
And Oregon went to Ohio State and beat them last year. Yeah. So it's like a lot of these teams, and I think UCLA is in the same boat. I think they could go most places and contend.
Yeah.
USC is the one where I don't think you could take them out of conference and they contend very well.
Yeah.
Because of that defense. That defense is still a fraud. They're number one in turnovers and number one in sacks, or at least they were. I don't know if they still are. But it's because that offense got them out to such big leads that they could just pin their ears back and defend the pass the entire time.
Exactly.
If you take them against, for example, a Michigan and Ohio State and Alabama, Georgia, like these top tier teams, they're getting torched.
Yeah.
Because these teams can run the ball. And I mean, we saw it with Utah. Utah can run the ball. And they were very physical with them. And it took a last second score, but they took that game at the end. So to me, USC is that team where if they're your playoff team, it's not a good look for the Pac-12 because they're going to go get slaughtered in the playoff. I think if UCLA was to go Oregon or Utah, I think they're fine. They're going to lose that first playoff game, but they won't look as bad doing it.
Exactly. Oh yeah. USC is all, it's all for show, if you will. You know what I mean? I don't think it's realistic like you were talking about, but we'll see. When they start playing some of these later games, we'll see how they level up. And as we've seen, as my guy said, there's two number 10s. USC is one of these number 10s, and the other one is Wake Forest. They're playing Louisville today. Sam Hartman versus Malik Cunningham. I think this
quarterback matchup.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, I think this is one of these classic ACC matchups. I don't think this is going to be, a strong stretch, a wide margin. Honestly, I think this could be a one possession game, if not an overtime game. Louisville has played tough against everybody that they've come up against, and including giving one of the only losses to UCF, where they shut them out in the second half. So, but then they're Wake with Sam Hartman, man. He's one of the top QB picks coming into this draft this year. What are you looking at what are you expecting in this one?
I'm expecting high scoring. This is going to look a lot like a Big 12 or a Pac-12 matchup.
Yes.
It's going to be those shootouts. I mean, like you look at Hartman, he missed the first 2-3 games of the season. Still 1,750 yards, 21 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Exactly.
It looks like he's been playing an entire season numbers wise like that. And that's against Clemson. That's against Florida State. Like that's against damn good football teams.
Exactly.
So, and then like Malik Cunningham, 1,000 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. The touchdown interception isn't great, but then he's got 80 carries, 500 yards, and 9 touchdowns rushing.
Exactly.
So it's like, this is just, I expect fireworks. They're giving Wake Forest 3 points on the spread. I think it's going to be about that.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere between 3 and 7 points is what I fully expect in this game, but I do expect Wake Forest to take it.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be all about offensive production. I mean, look, both of these teams put up average of over 400 yards a game. Okay.
Yeah.
And both their defenses give up a little over 200. So, look, it's going to be about offenses in this one. Sam Hartman, we know what he can do, and they're getting a little bit on the running game, but A.T. Perry is definitely getting it done with only over 30 receptions. But then on the flip side, you talked about Malik Cunningham. I understand the losses maybe have brought him down and maybe some Heisman talk or even the best quarterback in the country. But, I mean, you talk about somebody that is the team. He's leading the team. He's leading them in passing and in rushing. Come on now. I mean, he, in my opinion, is a more polished, more refined version of like maybe an Anthony Richardson. He can run, he can move, but he, in my opinion, moves this offense a little bit better. You know what I mean? You have a couple breaks here and there. They lose to Florida State late, which they should have won. I talked about one of the other games they've won. They're 4-3 this year in Louisville, so I don't want us to sleep on them. But I'm agreeing with you. This is going to be one of those back and forth games that's going to come down to late in the game. And this is the one that going into the 7:00 game, because it's a 3:30 one, that I'm going to be watching to the T. Like, okay. All right, I'll switch it. All right, we're good. You know what I mean? You're going to see the very end of this one. So
100%.
Oh, yeah. Now, let's go into, so those are the top 10s. Any other top 25 matchups that catch your eye?
Well, your guys' game. To me, I kind of look at UCLA Stanford is an interesting one to me. Ole Miss and A&M.
Yes.
Ole Miss going on the road to Kyle Field there is another very interesting one. Cincinnati UCF. Notre Dame Syracuse. That's another very good one. I expect that one to be that's an old school football matchup. That's going to be very physical, low scoring, lots of running. You might get like a 13-10 kind of game there, honestly.
Right. Defenses.
Yeah.
High level defenses. Yeah. North Carolina, we know we're ranked 21. Glad we're finally ranked, going up against a solid Pitt team that, although they have 3 losses, they have a strong running game. I've been Akonda. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his last name. The running back for Pitt has almost 1,000 yards on the ground, 13 touchdowns. Had a game, I believe, 2 weeks ago where over 300 yards on the ground. Like Mac Brown, our coach, said this guy's one of the best running backs in the nation, especially that nobody really talks. Right. This guy is a legitimate force in there. So, and we've seen the struggles that we've had against on defense, especially with teams rushing and passing the ball. So, we know the joy. We know how great our guy Drake May is, and this is another game where he can continue to just build on his early success. But it's going to come down to defense. It's going to come down to us stopping them, or this game's going to come down to the wire. And I kind of think it will come down to the wire. I'm hoping we can pull out the dub. If you don't know, now you know. So I will be definitely ready for this one. This is 8:00.
Yeah.
Oh. I have a 1-year-old's birthday party to go to.
I thought it was going to be about this game, and I was like, well, it should be over by halftime, so you can watch it.
Right. So I will definitely be having this one on my phone, looking happy birthday, touchdown, yeah. We'll see. But yeah, like you said, Syracuse versus Notre Dame. Syracuse, we know, got their first loss, and that's going to be interesting because Notre Dame at 4-3. A lot of people are sleeping on them because they've had certain losses. They lost to Ohio State team that was solid. Marshall, Pete, don't sleep on Marshall. I know their record might not be indicative of how good their team actually is. So they were able to get the W over Notre Dame. Notre Dame took it to us, but Syracuse, let's see what they can do. You have Cincinnati, UCF. Cincinnati 6-1, UCF 2 losses, and what last time they played, they put 70 up on somebody. You know what I mean? So we know what they're gonna do. But I'm gonna bring my guy back in real quick because we got some more SEC action to talk about. And the first one, South Carolina on a 4-game win streak going up against Missouri. Now, I definitely want to talk about this because South Carolina is doing well. But Missouri, that defense has proven to give everybody trouble. You know about it firsthand. What are you looking for in this game right here?
Oh, you're muted.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
I didn't my fault. Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be a good game. I mean, both teams are actually gotten to be playing pretty well as the season progressed, and Missouri was a shock for us. I mean, and it looks like Rattler's trying to get his game together. So. Yeah, I mean, he's trying. So I mean, that I think me saying that is the main component of if South Carolina stays in this ball game. So I think what South Carolina's getting 3.5. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's all about that Missouri defense. If the Missouri defense shows up like I think they will, they might pull up the upset on this.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be that Missouri defense versus the rushing game led by Marshawn Lloyd of South Carolina.
Yeah,
9 TDs getting done throughout this year. But to your point though, Spencer Rattler, you talked about him year in, year out. He's this, he's that. He's at Oklahoma. He got his job taken. Now he's over here. He has 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. That offense isn't great.
Right.
Is this going to have to fall on his shoulders today, in your opinion?
I think so. I mean, he's been touted as the greatest player. I mean, like ever since he came to SEC, and he's even boasted about it. He said that he probably played better in the SEC, but than where he came from, and that obviously did not happen. So I mean, he kind of blew a little bit too smoke before he needed to, but yeah, I mean, it falls squarely on his shoulders. I mean, like he needs to. I mean, anytime you have more interceptions, you do have touchdowns. I mean, like, come on, you need to. You need to fix what's broken, and I can't tell you what's broken. Only he can tell you that. So I have no idea.
It's between the ears. I think it's absolutely between the ears.
Oh yeah, right up in there. Oh, without a doubt. Look, and part of it is like you said, he's been touted as the next thing coming, the best thing since sliced bread, if you will. You know what I mean? He's been touted as the guy. It didn't come to fruition in Oklahoma. It doesn't look like it's coming to fruition here at South Carolina. And the part that it really frustrates me is you have a coach that everybody in Columbia, everybody in South Carolina seems to be on board with and following.
Oh yeah.
And and my question is, when do you get to the point? I mean, I guess if you're winning, you don't do this, but when do you get to the point where you're like, Spencer, let's see what the backup has to offer?
Right, exactly. That seems to be the question on a lot of these teams. I mean, it just how long is too long? You have faith in your guy. I mean, we can say that about Stetson. You know what I mean? And Kirby gave him just enough time where he kind of worked out of his phone. You know what I mean? But to your question, how long is too long? Like when do you bring the guy off the bench? So,
to compare it to Stetson, you had a very talented backup in JT Daniels sitting there.
Right.
So you had a guy that people have seen on a national stage at USC, and he performed fairly well while he was there. So you had a guy where it was kind of like pushing, and people wanted that big play factor. Where South Carolina, we haven't really seen the backup too much, if I'm not mistaken. So it kind of is that little unknown that people want to find out. It makes it quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really thought Chester would play better than he has this year. So I think a lot of people did.
We all did, right? We all did. You are not alone. But sticking in the SEC, number 15 Ole Miss plays probably one of the shockingly most disappointing teams this year, unranked Texas A&M. We're going to talk about the coach a little bit later, and I want to keep you on here for that because I know you got something to say about that, Colin. But number 15 Ole Miss, Texas A&M. What are you expecting?
I don't know, dumpster fire. I think Ole Miss is going to take this pretty handily. I mean, I'm beginning to like Lane Kiffin, and I think him being Lane Kiffin, and Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher being in the position he's in right now, he's chomping at the bit to get this game going, and I think he's going to pull out some. I wouldn't be surprised if trick plays or some kind of stuff going on in Lane's head, just to mess with Jimbo. So
absolutely.
But I think Ole Miss is going to take this pretty handily.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with you, Alex. What you think, man?
I agree with everything he just said. Like, this is one where if you just see Ole Miss versus Texas A&M, and it's in A&M, you're looking at possible upset for A&M, but not this year. They're so good. Ole Miss is with that offense, specifically the run game this year is quite surprising there. But yeah, I expect them to kind of come in and handle their business.
Yeah. And look, everybody, we've all touted Texas A&M's defense. We know about their recruits that have come in. It just has not come together. And a lot of it's because of that offense. But also that defense is going to have a rough day because they got to go up against this Ole Miss offense that, we know what happened last year with Matt Corral and all this, but they're averaging almost 500 yards a game. That quarterback Jackson Dart, the running game is just out of this world. They average over 350 yards. Or over 250 yards on the ground a game. So when you have that slowly, methodically, you can keep the other offense off the field. But maybe that's a better thing because I don't know if Texas A&M offense wants to get on the field. I mean, they are archaic. They are very 1998 I-form run, and you're like, did you miss something, Jimbo? Like this ain't working, man. This ain't working. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But you got everybody got Ole Miss on this one?
Yeah.
And what did we say on this one? South Carolina or Missouri?
I got Missouri.
Okay. I also have Missouri.
Woo! All right, hey, I'm sticking with my guy Spencer because he shares his first name, my last name, Spencer Rattler.
There you go.
5-0, 5 wins, baby. Let's get it, yo. But look, hey, we're gonna keep you in here because we are going to revisit the coaching carousel. Look, we've talked about coaches throughout this season. We know about what happened to Scott Frost earlier in the year, Jeff Collins out of Georgia Tech, Ben Christ out of Wisconsin. You've seen what happened to Herm. I don't even like to bring it up because I'm still fuming over how they did that, man.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Come on. He plays to win the game. That's the point. But there's a lot of these coaches that have been in line to get paid and got paid big money. And let's start with one of the ones that we just talked about. Look, you talked about something earlier in this year, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of chastise you like, nah, man, this dude, he ain't going nowhere. But if he gets another loss today, it's not getting any easier. Is Jimbo, they maybe don't give him the pink slip, but are they kind of saying, hey, we need to figure something out? What do you think?
I mean, he may get a talking to, but I think that's where the line is drawn. Because I don't think they're gonna do anything with him. I don't think they're gonna do anything with Jimbo as of right now. But I mean, it kind of makes me wonder how many times he's been talked to before. What's going on. But I mean, depending on how many times that's been, I mean, I really don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, I honestly don't. I mean, it depends on his contract too, how much money they got to give him and that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to put all those factors in there as well. So, me personally, I don't see him going anywhere as of right now.
Yeah. Hey, perfect timing. What's going on, Anthony, the other co-host of This Week in Georgia Football? Anthony, we're talking right now on the coaches carousel, trying to revisit that. We were asking a question that we asked earlier in the year about Jimbo Fisher, and is he, should they be giving him the pink slip? I know you and I, Anthony, definitely said no, he's staying. That's what Colin seems to be saying now. But I just don't know. Alex, I'm going to come to you on this. Listen, Jimbo's 3-4 this year, which is something nobody expected. I heard, CFP conversations with the talent that he potentially had. We've seen what their offense is doing. They've lost to Mississippi State, not bad. They've lost to App State, who we know is not bad, but in the country, I don't know, and then they've lost to unranked South Carolina. I mean, what else does it going to take for them to kind of be like, hey, what's going on here? Like, or is he just locked in and we're not even going to think about that?
I think at least this series locked in, just like Colin said, with the potential buyout and all that. And he's been bringing in number one recruiting classes. Like, he's on all these stuff off the field. He's been doing very, very well. Yeah. Boosters seem to be happy with him. Obviously not this season, but what he's been doing for the school has been good thus far. And let's not forget, they're a field goal hitting the top of the upright away from being 2-5. They barely escaped Arkansas. So it's a down year. I think it's just one of those years where you don't have your quarterback, so you're not going to do anything. I think once they find their quarterback, they'll be a very, very good football team, and they'll be in that CFP conversation. But this isn't the year for them.
This ain't it. And I wonder, Colin, I'm coming to you. I wonder how much we kind of lifted Texas A&M up because of the win a year ago against Alabama.
Yeah. And I kind of thought that would maybe happen this year because I really thought, but I did. I mean, just the A&M team we see is not the one of last year, so it just does surprise me.
Yeah, and look, like you said, he has the same record as Sumlin. We know Fisher has a national championship under his belt. So you have some those accolades. You're going to start, garnering the attention. And we've seen what he's done with the recruits. We've seen what he's done with that defense. But at the same time, we are living in a very much "what have you done for me lately" society. So it's going to be interesting. But like Anthony said, that bag.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, and also I think they like him talking. I mean, everybody likes to talk. Coach likes to talk, and then Jimbo's definitely one to talk. Like him and Lane, and it's kind of reminiscent of the old ball coach. They had Spurrier, at South Carolina for a while, and they every team and every fan seems like the coach that talks a lot of nonsense. It seems so.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gets the team riled up and that kind of stuff, fan base, whatever. But I mean, that's another reason I think they're going to keep a hold of him too, because I mean, he's not. You don't see him backing down from Saban. You've seen the things he's talked about, directly to Saban. He's not scared of any other coaches. So I mean, I think people tend to like that stuff too. So but he's got to win. I mean, that's what it is. He's got to pull something, turn something around.
Oh yeah, and especially when. Go ahead.
Like you said earlier, Sean, he's got that national championship under his belt. He has that win against Saban last year. So some of these things that he's got under his belt are going to give him a bit more leeway with these bad seasons. I think a few years down the road, if they're still struggling, then he's probably out the door. But yeah, he's safe.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, that national championship does wonders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he said he's run the same offense he had with Winston. He has an upgrade everybody else has. I think honestly, I think a lot of this has to play with that quarterback. A lot of this, they just do not have the guy. Jameis, I already know what. We all know what he does in the league, EWs and all that jive. We already know what he does in the league, but he's won a national championship. Yeah. Okay. Secondly, like if you have your guy, if you have your quarterback, if you're able to get that running game going and everything like that, that changes a lot of things. So we'll see once the talent starts coming in and once you find your guy at QB, we'll definitely see how that's going. I'm gonna keep you in here for a little bit. I'm gonna keep you in here because we got to go ahead and move on. And I'm gonna bring my coach up, and the reason is because Katie wants to come here and talk trash. I know what happens when you talk trash, Katie. Don't let us win, because Kat and I will drive to your house and be like, knock, knock, knock. Happy Spartans here.
I'm glad I am so far west that you won't even come to me.
I will find you. But look, this is another guy. That has been given so much money. He's highly touted. I mean, you win your first 2 years over the hated rival Michigan. Obviously, that gives you a lot of attention. But at the same time, the team has been struggling, and these last couple years, it has come down to their pass defense. Their quarterback, Peyton Thorne, ain't great. Let's get it right there. But their pass defense last year and this year has struggled. They give up 314 to Maryland, 397 to Washington. Ohio State put 377 on them, and then Wisconsin, who we know is known for running, we know they lost their coach. They put up 283 on us. Sorry, give me a second here. I'm good. So they put that on us. So I mean, I'm gonna come to the hated rival, Michigan. What do you think about this? Because I mean, they gave him all that money, but was it too soon?
It was a year too soon for me, because you brought in Kenneth Walker, who was one of the best running backs, to me, the best running back in the nation last year. he covered up a lot of holes that Michigan State had. They had a very good defense last year and best running back. That makes up for a bad quarterback because Lombardi and Thorne both were bad. Like Rocky Lombardi got benched for Peyton Thorne essentially this year and transferred away. So I think they should have waited to see what he did without Walker and some of those defensive pieces. But he's a very good coach, and he deserves the money, but I think it was just a little too early.
Yeah, it was definitely a little too soon. Real quick, what's that crud on your head? I thought this was Kate. It is not Kate. It is Will Kramer. So I would like to go back and I would like to change my pick for the South Carolina-Missouri game. I'm picking for Missouri. You want to talk crap, Will? Let's go. All right. Hey, check us out Wednesday nights, Washington Football Weekly, baby. Yo. So yeah, I know. I agree. And look, so I'm coming to you, Colin. You know, they gave the guy money, is not performing. They did it too soon. But what does that say about, you know, these college coaches? You're getting this big money. You've seen right there with Jimbo, with Saban, Kirby got paid. Like, what does this say? Like about it? 1 year you get paid? Like, what is this?
I mean, it's obviously in their contracts. I mean, they sign and they're creating these contracts with that verbiage in there. I mean, it's got to be in there. And I put it, the onus is on the school, man. I mean, if they want to, pay all these. I mean, I don't think. I mean, obviously there's no shortage of threat of running out of money with the boosters and all that kind of stuff, and then get the amount of money they make per game and per season. But I mean, yeah, the onus is definitely on the colleges. I mean, if they want to shell out that kind of money, that's on them. I mean, it's not necessarily the coach's fault. I mean, they're going. I mean,
True.
I mean, depending on what they do. I mean, if their mentality, if they go in there and sign that contract saying, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and get my money and then book on out, or if they legitimately have an attitude like I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna do my best I can and try to create an atmosphere and a winning football team. That's another thing. I mean, another thing totally. But yeah, I mean, onus is definitely on the college. I mean, I don't fault the coaches for one bit.
No. Yeah. They're doing what they can to make money. If you want to pay them that's kind of on you. But then I just feel like it's funny how they just renege after that. Like, wait, you're not playing as great. Well, you got to help them out too.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to give them the tools to do well. They can't just throw them out there and say, all right, well, do what you got to do. You got to give them the tools and the wherewithal to do, what they can do to make the team better. But, I mean, these coaches are smart. I mean, you just got to look at them. I mean, they've got smart lawyers. Let's put it that way. They may not be smart, but they got good lawyers. They put that in that contract where, hey, you get rid of me in such and such time, I'm getting paid. I mean, look at Coach O. I mean, Coach O, Coach O said, which door I go?
He happily
which door I go? And what time you want me to leave?
He said, I'll go. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I said the same thing.
Stuff packed right now. Let's go.
Hey, ain't no sweat off my nose, bro. I'm on around here.
Right.
I'm going to give me a bunch of cheeseburgers.
Right. Yo, Alex, I'm gonna let you answer this. What was the reason? Was there a reason to pay Mel? There's a rumor of him going elsewhere pop up, or did they overreact?
His name was coming up for that LSU job last year, where obviously Brian Kelly got it, but his name was coming up. So, I mean, and you look at these schools, obviously national championships and bowl games are what everyone bases it on, but then you go to how you do against your division rivals.
Yep.
They beat us 2 years in a row.
Yep. And
obviously they didn't beat Ohio State. They got smoked by Ohio State still, but
rough.
They beat us 2 years in a row. So that's a big feather in his cap because D'Antonio was getting his tail whooped for the last few years he was there. So for him to come in and take over and beat us twice, that's a reason right there. Maybe not for that much money, but the LSU job probably pushed it over the top. No, absolutely. No, let's move on down the list. We got two more of these coaches. David Shaw from Stanford. We've seen kind of talent that he's brought out. Davis Mills is playing, not super talented, but NFL caliber. We've seen he's been slept on. Obviously, C-Mac just got traded. He's been touted as one of the best running backs in the country, winning college and in the pros, although the injury issues he has had. Shaw has been struggling this year, but he's actually played against a number of solid teams. I mean, look, they got the victory over Notre Dame,
but then you lose to Oregon State, you lose to USC, Washington. I'm coming to you, Alex. What do you think? I mean, do you think people are getting a little bit too kind of anxious with this, or the talents?
Yeah. I definitely think they do. Or like they're getting a little too anxious on it because you look at it. He's been so good for so long there that I think you kind of deserve the benefit of a doubt when you have a year like this. And if you look at their schedule here, they played USC tough. The score 13-point spread, but they played them toe to toe for the majority of that game. They played Washington in a good game. They put 27 up on Oregon's defense. Like they played good teams and done fairly well. So, and they beat Notre Dame. Like there's some of these games that you kind of give yourself a little bit of credit for. And though you didn't get 3 and 4, obviously doesn't look too great, but calm down. It's a coach that's been solidified for so long.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to one more, and that's Mario Cristobal. And I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say people need to pump their brakes.
Yep.
He's had some tough losses. Absolutely. And Middle Tennessee State, you lose to them. And you're right. That's definitely an ugly loss to have on your record. But at the same time, he's his first year getting in the system. He went from the Pac-12 to the ACC. He's still getting his recruits. He's bringing those old Miami players back, having them on the sideline and kind of instilling that kind of the whole culture and mentality into that team. It's going to take them at least a year to get back under their feet. Watch out for them the next year or two. Van Dyke, we've talked about him thus far this year. He is definitely struggling, but I just feel like with this year, with how a lot of the talent from maybe the ACC might be going and some of these quarterbacks like Leary and Hartman and some of these guys might be leaving. Some of these teams might be falling down the next couple of years. You're going to have a Miami. You're going to have a Florida State, Tar Heel Nation, UNC. They're going to start making that rise.
Yeah.
Try to challenge a Clemson and stuff like that. So I think people need to pump their brakes on this as well. There have been some tough losses, and everybody goes to the one loss, and we completely understand.
But it's year one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He was saying, hey, Scott Thayer saying, go Mizzou. Okay. Shout out to you, man. Let's see. Hopefully, hey, Scott, let us know if you think they can get that W against South Carolina. Ranked South Carolina, by the way. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Does Tate Martell's love eligibility to go back into U and play?
I don't think so. I think his eligibility is done. But he's not doing better than Van Dyke. So
he's not getting it done. Yo, we are close to the end, but we got to move on with some of our upset picks today. I'm going to go to you first, Alex. What are some of the upset picks that you want us to take a look at today?
So I brought up one earlier. Keep an eye on Notre Dame, Syracuse. Notre Dame could steal that one. Like I said, physical, old school matchup. UCF over Cincinnati. If you look at the line, UCF is favored. I think Cincinnati's going to go in there and steal it. So give me Cincinnati in that one. And I called it earlier, Missouri over South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. Hold up. Anthony said, hey, brother from another, I need an inside scoop where you got that jacket, fam. It is fresh. That is fresh. I like that.
I like that.
Appreciate you. I'll let you in. I'll let you in after the show, man. I'll let you know. I'll let my people get in touch with your people.
Right. I can dig it. So, yo, we'll go to you next. Colin P. from the DMV. Who do you think is going to be some upset picks for you today?
Well, I got close with my other one, my Alabama Texas pick there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Got too close. I would obviously go with Alex on Missouri over South Carolina for that one. I'm stopping short on Kentucky on Tennessee. I think this is going to be a big game for Kentucky and Tennessee. Yeah. I'm not going to say Kentucky's going to beat Tennessee, but it's going to be a good game. I stopped short. I don't really have I don't have another one. I mean, I don't really feel too good about any other team.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with Florida. No, they're not going to do it. I'm not even going to do that.
Boy.
Well, look, hey, you saw what happened when I said that show that I did where I said Stetson Bennett was a Heisman candidate, and then he had a terrible game after that. So
going for
right.
Yeah, it's like Ben picking your Commanders.
Yeah. Right.
Ben, I hope you're not comments, right?
I would have found out. I don't even know where you live, but I'll be on the first thing smoking the honey, man. I'll be finding you. Anybody know Sean Spencer? Anybody know the Godfather?
Where is he?
Where's the Godfather? Show me the
Godfather. For me, yes, Will, I'm gonna come out and say it since you want to talk about the hat. Missouri, that defense is going to take advantage of Spencer Rattler. I think Missouri is going to get the upset. I'm with you guys on that. Louisville, I think. I think Louisville, led by Malik Cunningham, he's going to have an amazing day. I honestly think they're going to get that upset. It's going to be a close one, but I think Wake is going to fall.
I like that.
I think you're right.
And then I got honestly, this is one I don't know if you guys agree with me, but we talked about it. Kansas State against Oklahoma State. I think Kansas State, led by Adrian Martinez. And now I know technically they're the favorite. I think they're a 1-point favorite, but by records, they are, 13 spots behind Oklahoma State. This will be huge for them in conference. I think this will be a big, big win. So
yeah, that's funny. I looked at those two games too, man. I just couldn't. Yeah, those are great picks.
Ooh, I so badly want to say Penn State over Ohio State, but I can't do it.
Yeah. And look, and you know what? And you know what?
Johnny.
Johnny. That's how we're doing today, man.
Wow.
Everybody hates him.
Always loses at some point. That's right. That's right. And there's one more. I couldn't be on this show, and I couldn't be in this house, and I couldn't be with my baby if I didn't say it. Go green. Go white. Little brother is shocking the world today. You heard it here first.
Little brother's being put back in their place.
Wow. Here we go, man. Here we go. He said, I don't know, man. I think the boys will get the hackles up for today for Vince.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I think I was joking with that. I think their biggest issue is going to be potentially overlooking of Florida because they know Tennessee is right around the corner, or not even overlooking of Florida. Looking, there's TVs and little, people. They're not only players on the sideline. There's fan coaches, guys like that. There are people are going to have phones and tablets and have the score and be watching that Tennessee game. And you can't tell me some of these guys won't say, "Yo, what's the score? What's the score?" And that not just any kind of, not focus on that game. Florida might come in, but I don't think Florida's going to get that upset. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are our upset picks today. We are going to end this show the right way. Since you're here with us, Colin, I'm going to keep you right there. Because at the end of the show, as we some of these coaches, they want the points. Let's kick the field goal. Let's just go. Let's tie it. We want to tie. Let's save for overtime. You know what? Somebody once told me, damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead. And when that comes, when we're down by 1 with no time on the clock, we're going for 2. Yeah, buddy. I got to address this first. Hold up. Fun show. Sorry about your loss today, boys. Beamer balls, go Cox. All right, Will, get out of here, man. Let's go. Yo, so we are going to start, and we're going to start with my guest, Mr. Colin Pete from the DMV, talking about the SEC. Going for 2 today. What's you're going for 2, buddy?
Well, I mentioned earlier, just want to send prayer and condolences to the Dooley family. The coach, Vince Dooley, passed away yesterday at the age of 90 years old. He actually, he was a Georgia football coach from 1964 to 1988. He had 6 SEC championships, 1 national championship in 1980. And he actually, funny stat is that he is from Alabama, and he actually coached Auburn from 1956 to 1963. His total record: 201 wins, 77 losses, and 10 ties. So, and he, he had a great saying is like, I just hope I did. I'm paraphrasing. Hope I did well, so people will remember me. what I did. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I should have written that down. But anyway, no, it's a huge loss to the to the Bulldog Nation. But it's just a constant reminder. He lived a long, full life. I'm happy that he did get to see one more national championship before he did. And he's definitely, in my mind, he's a piece. Seeing that. So I mean, it's just a constant reminder that tomorrow's not given, and just your family, friends, and loved ones, just tell them that you love them, and tomorrow's not promised. So with that, I will turn it to you guys.
My guy. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, prayers definitely to the Dooley family and everybody in Athens and in Georgia Nation. There was definitely a tough loss. He was the coach of their 1980 national championship team. So
did you watch that last night? Did you watch any of it? Did you watch any of it?
I was texting back with you while I was driving back. I couldn't see any. Okay. I was just listening to what you were saying. I was like, yo. And it's actually really funny. I got a very, very close friend named Colin Remark, diehard Georgia fan from Atlanta, Butts County, Georgia.
Nice.
He's loved them for all of his life.
Right.
I was on the phone with him like during the whole Georgia the 2018 national championship, and I had to talk him off of a ledge after that game. So it was rough.
I know how that feels.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely get that Georgia that love. So I got to shout him out because that's definitely something he's excited about, and he was born on the New Year's. When that game on New Year's,
I think so. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around that time.
It was in 81. I mean, like it was in that 80 championship in 81.
He was born that night, like as it was going on. Wow. So that's always been like, oh, I'm a Georgia player. Herschel. He has a picture in his house. It's like an oil painting of Herschel going over the top of the opponents and everything. So I was like, yo, go ahead, man. I can dig it. I can dig it.
That's awesome.
Oh wow! Upset.
Reminds me when we lost Bo.
Yeah.
Schembechler, yeah.
That's rough. Yeah. So hey, I'll go right to you, man. What is your going for two on this day, my friend?
For me, it's just we're getting into these the weeks of college football where we got these rivalries. Obviously, Michigan State, Florida, Georgia. We're getting into this time of year. Just enjoy it, man. Have the fun, have that back and forth banter, enjoy it. Don't let things get too heated. Let football stay football, and just have fun.
That's right. So I won't be saying anything to you. honestly, and I know, our buddy Anthony said it on one of the other shows. I mean, we're already in October. This is the last weekend of October. November's here and everything like that. And just like I've been saying, like to the Georgia game and to the Tennessee game, don't worry about what's happening next week. Like the Vince Dooley situation and everything, God rest his soul, but he didn't get that extra day. He didn't get one more day. And we might not. Let's not worry about next week. We can't control what's happening next week. Worry about today. Appreciate today. Because just like we've talked about, actually Anthony said on the round table Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern. Gotta plug the show. But just like Anthony said, it's getting close to that time where it's colder outside. It's getting where it's going to be really chilly soon. And everybody that was in the summer saying, God, I wish the cold was here, and then going to be saying, I wish the summer was here. So we say all off season, I can't wait for football. I can't wait for football. But then now we're sitting here and almost like, it's almost over. It's almost over. Who cares if it's almost just enjoy it. Enjoy it. What can happen? The whole top 25 could be destroyed and rebuilt in a day. Like these things can happen. So appreciate it. Enjoy it. And let's go, baby. Let's move on. Let's keep it going. Look, Alex, he's so calm today.
I blew up on our show Thursday because everyone in Bucks Nation's acting like the sky is falling. I was like, you're 3-5 a game out of the division lead. Calm down. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, you did just lose to Carolina. Let's go, baby. Let's go. But yo, we appreciate you guys being with us. We appreciate you guys hopping in the comments and joining us for this day. I know it ran long, but I'm not gonna lie to you, man. We're talking college football. We're going back and forth. if you guys will have me, as I know you will, I will do this all day. To be quite honest with you,
because we go off on the phones during the game and we're talking all day. Anyways, like,
dude, that sounds just like me and Anthony. Me and Anthony do that. Like, oh, slow your roll. That's a show. That's a show. That's a show. Hush, hush, hush. Yeah. We're losing content, bro. We're losing content.
Right. Exactly. So look, definitely tune in to all these games. Real quick, I'm gonna come to you, Colin. Tell us where we can find you, what shows you're on, what you got going on, man.
Oh, I am one half of the Let's Talk UGA football podcast. Usually comes on around 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. My other half is Mr. Fingers, Anthony Handy. Again, I believe he's in charge of all that Facebook and Instagram and Spotify. We're all across all those platforms. I believe it's actually under that tagline. There's Agnew Productions as well. That's where you can find us. And every now and then I pop up in Sean's different podcasts. I was on the roundtable the other night. Last week. So you never know where you'll find me. So those are the main places though.
Oh, I can dig it. I can absolutely dig it. And we appreciate you being here.
Hey, I love him.
Do you Johnny said nameless running back, rushed 22 times, 119 yards, a touchdown, while hauling 5 receptions, 55 yards to help beat Nebraska. It's the Northwestern running back, Hall.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
I think so. Here, I'm gonna find.
I'm just looking up his name because I think we got that right, Johnny. Let me know if we got that right. Who's that running back?
Hull, yeah.
Hull, yeah.
Evan
so
Hull.
let us know if we're correct on that one, Johnny. We weren't we weren't overlooking that one. When I saw how long it is, I was like, yo, let me definitely get into that. Yeah. You go. Oh yeah, yo, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Yeah, definitely check out This Week in Georgia Football, having 1, if not 2 shows a week. Ooh, excuse me. So definitely look into that. Bingo, Evan Hull. Good God, Rain, man. Look. I know y'all think that, but that's because I literally have no life. I just sit there and study these things and write it up, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. I love it. So look, hey, you know who it is. It's your boy Sean Spencer, aka the Godfather, my guy, Mr. Alec Loosemore. And you know who it is, Colin P. from the DMV, talking about the SEC, always chilling with our boy Anthony. So, definitely tune into us, tune into them, tune into everything we got going. We're going to end this show with every show that is represented in the Let's Talk football community. We hope you appreciate it. We hope you enjoy. Happy Saturday, people. Let's go. R.I.P. Vince Dooley.
That's right. Go Dogs.
you